Namaste. I'm Akasha IndigoRae, and thank you for joining me again here on my channel, the Akashic Song. You have to forgive me today because I'm battling a pretty nasty cold. So I sound a little yucky, of course, on the day when we're doing the throat chakra. I sound a little yucky, but I'm inspired to do this, so I think that spirit telling me that this is the timing regardless of how I sound. So I'm sipping on a little bit of a traditional medicinals gypsy cold care tea. I'm so ready for Samhain. So I've lately been drinking out of my cauldron mug again. I mean, I drink out of it all the time, but right now it feels more seasonal. Feels like we're in the season already, huh? Okay, so let's get into it. The throat chakra. Well, I sound absolutely terrible. So with the throat chakra, this is the first in the 3 higher chakras. So remember we talked about the 3 lower chakras, the root, the sacral, and the navel. The heart sits in the center, balancing both worlds. And then the throat is the first in the upper 3 chakras. It'll be the throat, the third eye or the pineal gland, and then the crown chakra right at the top of the head. So the color that resonates with the throat chakra is blue. So think of like a laser blue, not necessarily a really dark blue, but all shades of blue is fine. But I always tend to really picture, when I think about the throat chakra, either a really bright laser blue, or sometimes I associate it with a sky blue, like more of a paler blue, because the element that I associate with the throat chakra is air. Some practitioners associate it with ether. I associate it with air. It's just what came to me in my meditation in my own practice. It doesn't necessarily make a big difference which element you associate it with, other than if you want to connect with that element as a way of bringing balance and healing to a particular chakra, then it does, I guess, make a difference. So for me, in the mornings when I do my practice, my daily morning practice, when I face east, or east is this way, I'm sitting in a different room. When I face east, which is the direction of air, and I chant Ankh, I'm calling in that energy into my throat chakra. So I literally visualize the blue sky just kind of spiraling into my throat chakra, and I chant that sound until I feel energy around the throat chakra. So like I said, the direction is east, and it rules the thyroid and the etheric body. So the thyroid is responsible for digestion at the intake level. So not necessarily digestion in the belly and the gut, really getting something in your bones, but digestion in the higher sense of understanding or overstanding. So the throat chakra is really connected to this idea of the first steps in our awakening journey. So we've risen above our material nature, where things are just about power and domination and control, sexuality, and adding to ourselves, gaining, taking, and figuring out a source of supply and stability, right? Am I okay? Am I getting enough? We've risen above those basic human needs to be sustained and to reproduce and to have some control over our lives. Once we reach the heart, then there is this burst of that feeling state that there is love all around us. Love is absolutely a feeling as much as it is an action and a state of being. So that first burst of feeling that we are connected to something and connected to each other. And then once we have felt that sense of the pulling of the heart, then the throat opens and we start to search for God or search for the divine. What else is actually out here for us? If it isn't just about what we're going to add to ourselves to be bigger, better, stronger, faster, more popular, then what is there beyond that? So the throat is the first place where we start to become self-actualized. We start to search for the divine. We start to look deeper and go in search of spiritual material. People who really come into like strong awareness of the throat chakra often experience that sense of the dark night of the soul, right? Like, wait, there's something more, but I don't know what that is. I know that there's something beyond this basic life struggle to pay my rent and feed myself and my children or my pets and keep a roof over my head and, you know, savings and credit cards and all that stuff. I know that there's something beyond that. Something is holding this together. Then the throat chakra is what propels you into the search for what is there. And we all go in different directions depending on our spiritual propensities. So some folks really go in the direction of disclosure and UFOs and figuring out what else is in the universe around us, what other galaxies are around us. Is there intelligent life out there? Can we connect with it? What does that intelligent life know about us and this planet and who created all of us, right? And then some of us go into this internal place of, I'm ready to find a sense of quiet and a sense of peace inside myself, and meditation and doing yoga and connecting to how the body can be used as a journey into the inner self, into the true self. And then there's that other, those of us that go in search of the spiritual in the sense of, is there a God? Is there a goddess? Does God have gender, right? How can we start to connect with this deity or deities, right? So all of those questions start coming up for us. Who is it? What is it? Where is it? How do we connect with it? And is it benevolent? Does it care about us, or did it just kind of put us here? And I think our spiritual journey really starts to come from that place. So when we start working with witchcraft and learning how the natural world is, how we are a microcosm of the macrocosm, how we connect with using what we can access physically, what we can touch, taste, sense, smell, hear, bringing all of those elements together and starting to create not only a connection to the divine, but a way to be present in our lives in a way that is more spiritually activated. So some examples of the throat chakra, or people that we can look to that might be an example of the throat chakra, I would think the Hierophant tarot card. So the Hierophant is thought of as the high priest. And if you have a tarot deck and you're looking at that high priest figure, what you'll notice is that he's often, he looks like a pope, right? Or like the papacy in some way, a priest. And the Hierophant represents the higher search. So looking beyond the physical matter. And also it represents teachers who can connect you with that. So maybe your first teacher or a guru or a spiritual guide that you look to, either in the astral or in the physical realm. The Hierophant also represents structures that are in place to help us connect to those higher realms. So if you find that for yourself in the community of a church of some kind, or a coven of some kind, right? Or being involved in a yoga class and being connected to that community. So the Hierophant can represent the structure of higher search and also a teacher or a guide. So he's the high priest. And then in the physical realm, one of the first people that popped into my mind that would represent somebody that probably resonates very highly in their throat chakra is Oprah Winfrey. Now, I think I mentioned Oprah in another one, but that's okay. That's what really came to me, so I'm going to trust that instinct. Oprah is someone who I would say is a good representative. Now, me not knowing her in person, right? But based on what we've seen in her, the way that she presents herself, the kind of material that she brings into the public sphere, what she has done with her power, with her fame, I think she represents a great example of somebody who is harmonized in the throat chakra and the navel. So remember I talked about in the first video about the overview of the chakras, that all 3 lower chakras connect to the 3 higher chakras. So the throat chakra has its correlation in the navel chakra. So oftentimes you'll find that if the navel chakra is off, you can focus on the throat chakra and it'll bring the navel chakra into balance. And you might also notice that if the navel chakra is off, you're having issues in expressing yourself and feeling connected to life and thriving in the throat chakra, right? Sorry, I'm gonna keep doing this. So Oprah is someone that I look at and see she's very self-actualized, she's very empowered, she's very confident, she expresses herself in a very powerful way. She's not hiding, she's not shirking, she's not covering herself up. No matter whether she's been heavier or slimmer, she still presents herself in a very powerful way no matter what. And she doesn't stand in the way of the message that she wants to get out, right? So that's somebody that has found balance between the navel chakra and the throat chakra. So she's actualized, she's empowered, she's confident, but she's also able to turn that energy towards a higher search, and to she has focused her life's work on bringing what she finds to us. She uses her platform to share with those who resonate with her what she has found, either spiritually. I remember right at the point when her daytime show that she had on, the Oprah Winfrey Show, when she started shifting from just having famous people or talking about current events and that kind of stuff, to when she really started the book club and inviting people like Eckhart Tolle on the show, and Deepak Chopra, and even now with her own network, she has a lot of spiritual material there, a lot of higher learning there. Higher learning in the true sense, right? So I would say that she's somebody who, not knowing her on a personal level, somebody whose life looks to be a strong balance in the navel and throat chakras. Now, whether she fluctuates back and forth in those chakras, we won't know, but we all do, right? We all are going to find that we have a stronger propensity to express ourselves from one or more chakra at a time. And that's going to shift throughout our journey as well. It's going to shift based on what we're focused on, what we're allowing in our atmosphere, what we talk about, what we surround ourselves with, what's going on in our life, right? There are times when you're going to feel very creative, and you're going to be putting out a lot of content and very focused on, writing and drawing and making things, right? That's that sacral chakra energy. When you're really in that state of birthing creativity. And that may be where you're resonating the most strongly at that time. But then there may also come a time when you're seated in the throat and you're very focused on what else is there? What else is there? Are we in a matrix? Sure, we're in a matrix of some kind, but does that mean that it's necessarily a detrimental thing or a bad thing? Is the moon real? Did we really go to the moon? Like, all of that kind of stuff is throat chakra energy, is being on the search for truth, the search for the divine, and what's real behind all of the natural phenomena that we see. So somebody who is expressing a balanced throat chakra energy. Forgive me if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes. So someone who has a balanced throat chakra would be using their words to heal and to help, not to tear down others. It's the beginning of godlike abilities. So when you first start to notice that maybe you have some psychic abilities that are opening up to you, you're starting to see things more deeply. The power in speech that is holy. So somebody that's going to use their words to bless others. When you hear saints, literally just touching people and saying, bless you, that's throat chakra energy. Everything that we say can either heal or harm another, or it can be neutral. But somebody who's really in that space of actualizing the throat chakra in a powerful and positive way is going to seek to bless others with their words and try to minimize the harm that they do with their speech. But they're also going to try to express themselves in an honest and authentic way. So it's the power of self-actualization, or the beginning of self-actualization. Speech that comes from a place of self-empowerment, but not malice. So I can present myself in a powerful way that doesn't have to demean or bring someone else down in order to do that. I can state my truth while still uplifting you. So we talked about the connection with the navel chakra. Yes, Jasper? Jasper's feeling very in her throat chakra. She has been meowing up a storm. She has a lot to say today. Bless her heart. I've been so boring, y'all. Like, my cats have been looking at me like, really, lady? Like, for the whole weekend I was sick, so I've just been kind of like in bed and drinking tea and making ginger tea and not being very entertaining. So they're kind of like, literally, she's chasing her tail right now. They're very bored. I don't know what to do with a sick mommy. So, an imbalance in the throat chakra would be seen as maybe a fear of speaking up for yourself or speaking in public, wanting to hide from having to say what you really feel or express yourself in any way that puts you in the spotlight. So that would be a shadow side of the throat chakra. So nihilism, right? So nihilism, that thought that what I do doesn't matter. There's nothing beyond this. Nothing matters, right? So I can do what I want, but then why bother? Because nothing matters. That's nihilism. And somebody's probably going to have a better definition of nihilism, and welcome to share in the comments. But as far as I understand the nihilist movement, it was about this rejection that there is an afterlife to be in pursuit of. And this is all there is. This life is all there is. And so there's no need for me to be in search of something else or trying to make excuses for myself to be good or kind or perfect or whatever, because there's nothing beyond this. And it can lead to a sense of apathy and not taking, as we said, not taking a stance for yourself or for others who are in need. And not all nihilists are this way, but as far as a basic definition of nihilism, that's what I would say, is that distance from believing that this life has meaning, has a deep meaning, and there is something to be gained in the afterlife. So there is some reason to work in this one towards that afterlife. So a sense of disconnection, like I said, a sense of apathy, a sense of disconnection from each other. I am alone in this world. I only have myself, right? But it can also show up as a silver tongue. So somebody who knows the power of their words, somebody who actually constructs their speech in a way to have power over others, or to present themselves in a way that's clever and cunning and to bring others under their control. So that would be, sorry, I said earlier shadow, I didn't mean to say that. That would be more of the shadow of the throat chakra. Generally, when we get into the higher chakras, there's not really inherently they are used towards self-actualization, but someone who becomes enlightened, or not, I shouldn't say enlightened, but somebody who goes through an awakening and starts to see that there is something deeper, can absolutely, if they're surrounded by negative energy, as time goes on, start to get pulled back into like more of a negative space. And if you've already seen the power that's possible from the third eye or from the throat chakra or what have you, you could absolutely use that power to control and to harm. There are gurus, there are stories of gurus who have used their power. It was gained in an honest way, or it was gained in a true seeking way, but then that shred of ego, that's when you know that an enlightenment has not fully happened. Awakening can happen without full enlightenment. So if that full enlightenment has not happened and there is still a thread of ego, that thread of ego can be manipulated to the point where the person starts to use their power, their godlike powers that they're beginning to recognize that they have, to corrupt and to harm others, and to use those to gain things from others that are not, that's not sacred, that's not holy. So someone who talks too much but doesn't say much. That's what I wrote. So like a gossipy person, somebody that's constantly having something negative to say about everything, but if pressed, they don't have an answer, they don't have a solution, they don't have a plan. It's just pointing out negativity just to be doing it. That would be an imbalance in the throat chakra. So some things that we can do to heal the throat chakra, or to bring it back into balance. As I said, because there is a correlation, the navel and the throat, if you do things to work on the navel, you will absolutely be working on the throat. And if you do things to work on the throat, you'll be working on the navel, right? So it depends on what's going on in your life. I will say, just as a personal anecdote, I'm struggling with some things around the navel chakra right now. I have fallen off of my daily home yoga practice, and I've been trying to get it restarted. And every time I'll do it for a day or 2 days in a row, or a morning here and an evening there, and then it just starts to slowly trail off again. And I know that I'm struggling with will. That's navel chakra energy. I know that I'm struggling with my will because there are other things going on that are pulling my attention. So rather than trying to force my will to get in line with what it is that I want, I'm focusing on the throat chakra and doing the things that I need to be self-actualized and to stay focused on there being a divine guiding presence in my life that I can look to connect with, and to see always my higher self. That trickles down into actions and activities that are balancing for the navel chakra, where I start to take back control of my will and to do things that are good for me. I've been doing amazing things that are good for me in terms of my diet and my wellness and my mental health, but I'm needing it to pull the physical activity into and the exercise in as well. So I'm continuing to do that. That's just me sharing with you that even, I struggle with certain chakras as well. So something that I've been doing is working with stones. So this is a selenite wand. It lost its tip, so I feel bad about that. But it's a selenite wand. Selenite works by harmonizing the body, bringing the body into a state of peace. And I definitely connect it with the throat chakra. One day it was just a natural, an inclination to grab my selenite stone and to cast my circle with it when I was getting ready to do a working. And you know, when you're casting your circle, you're speaking. So I started, right then I got the connection between selenite and the throat chakra, that when I'm in a state of peace, I can speak my truth. So selenite is good for that. It's good for peace. Azurite. So azurite is a stone that is blue in color. So basically we want to work with things that are blue, or as I said, things that remind you of the sky, because we're dealing with air energy here. And azurite is blue, and it's got some clear quartz inclusions in there. So I connect azurite with visioning and wishing. So having a clear vision for what you want in your life, and what you want for yourself, what you're in search of, and then wishing in a powerful way. So these are definitely connected. And then lastly, just to show you, if you don't have to always use something that's specific to a purpose if the color resonates. So this is lapis lazuli, and this particular one was carved with water. So I use this to connect with the direction of the west and with water. The color itself, cat play. The color itself resonates with the throat chakra. So that's lapis lazuli, and this is actually a very holy stone. The priestly caste tends to work with lapis lazuli. Priests and priestesses in Kemet, you'll see a lot of the Kemetan deities wearing lapis lazuli. So this is a very high stone to work with. Eat blueberries. Eat blueberries. Blueberries are great for the throat chakra, not only because of the color, but they have a property of antioxidant. So they work to clear out toxins from the energy body. And because this works with the etheric body, it will work to cleanse toxins from the throat chakra. Elderberry also works on the throat chakra. I've been taking elderberry for this cold that I have. Okay, so some activities, some things that you can do: singing, chanting holy mantras, prayers that are said aloud. So literally verbalizing and vocalizing your prayers to the divine helps to awaken the throat chakra. Singing along with holy music, playing instruments, reading spiritual literature, and cooking with mantra. So that's something that I don't often do, but then when I'm reminded of it, it's such a good feeling to be stirring your pot and saying mantra, whatever that is for you. I have a Sanskrit mantra that I chant while I'm preparing food that calls in the energy of the divine to be present in the food, recognizing that the food itself is physical matter. The energy behind the food is God, is the divine, is the goddess. So chanting while cooking is another way of calling in the throat chakra energy, that search, that recognition that there is something bigger and greater and divine holding all of this together, and I'm calling that energy into the food that I'm preparing, that I'm getting ready to eat and begin the digestion level at the thyroid center. So sing a song, dance around, chant mantra, play holy music. I love to put on the what is that station? There's a station on Pandora that I love. Oh man, I just forgot it. Ravi Shankar. Ravi, R-A-V-I, Shankar, S-H-A-N-K-A-R. And Ravi Shankar has beautiful music. It's Indian music using, Indian instruments. It will definitely transport you to another world. It's very meditative, but it's very energizing too, depending on the song. And you can listen to just his music, or I like to put on the Ravi Shankar station on Pandora, because then it starts to play other things that are like that, and you can just really get into a zone of, you know, humming along to this music, and you're harmonizing the throat chakra while you're doing this. So with that, I am going to close and say thank you so much if you have made it this far. We've only got 2 more chakras to chat about, and they are biggies. The third eye and the crown are coming up next. So I hope to share all of that with you all in the coming weeks. And I hope you are having a wonderful start to your autumn season and getting all prepped for Samhain. I got my pumpkins around. I'm not letting this cold stop me. And blessings, Hotep, and Namaste to you.